I would say like if I had a pair that I really wanted, like a pair of Unions, and someone's like, "Hey James, there's 6 pairs in your collection that I would want." Sure, take them. You know what I mean? It's different. I just don't want to have to go through the process of selling it, then spending $2,000. And they're like, "Well, that doesn't make sense. Why would you do that? Why don't you just do that and then spend it?" I said, because to me, if I sell a pair of shoes, it's not to buy one pair with of $2,000 shoes. Like it's just, I have this whole concept in my head that like it doesn't make sense financially to invest $2,000 when I know that shoe is worth $300. You know what I mean? Retail or something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think for me, it's more $1,000 shoe. It's not that I won't wear it, but it's more like I
I'd be mad if I
I'm
scuffed
not
it.
gonna pay $1,000 for a shoe that I would wear as regularly as a bread one.
Mm-hmm.
Because my Royals and my Shadows, and I do have bread ones, by the way, but I wear them a lot, a
Yeah.
lot, a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And the reality is I like, they're one of those shoes where you just need it in your collection. Like
Yeah.
like if I beat them, I'd be on the not on the hook, but like I'd have to buy them again eventually
Mm-hmm.
at some point because I need to, like, it's not like another shoe that's never gonna come out, like one of these collabs, it's never gonna come out again. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, it's a cool shoe, I bought it, and then
Yeah.
I don't need it. It's like one of those, it's kind of like a staple shoe, right? Like a
Mm-hmm.
staple shoe that you're just gonna constantly need in your collection. And every time it comes up, you're gonna consider buying it if you don't have a fresh pair or a decent pair to wear, right? And
Yeah.
so like $1,000 is just, it's really hard to pay for something that's a staple that I'm gonna wear so regularly. And with so, I don't want to say with so little regard, but
Mm-hmm.
like I wear my Jordans everywhere all the time. Like if it snows, that's the shoe
Yeah.
that I'm gonna put on, right? And so like to me, I'm like $1,000. I love this shoe, but I love it to the point where I want to wear it in this and everywhere. And I can wear it in any situation and love it for that. But I'm not gonna pay $1,000 for that. I'll pay a certain amount, but like I don't know, there's just something about it at like retail or the $300 limit.
Mm-hmm.
And but like a shoe like the Salmon Toes, like you're never gonna see it again. And
No.
at the same time, you're not gonna wear it recklessly or with no regard, right? Somewhat.
Yeah, I'm actually shocked that they didn't zoom up in value. Like they're pretty, like they're not too far above retail still, which surprises me.
Wait till summer. Summer they'll shoot up.
Yeah, you're right. And like, but yeah, like the with the whole Jordan 1, like so those Jordan 3s, right? Those black cements I got, right? And it was the CDP pack from '08. I think that's what. So one of the guys, shout out to Kicks We Trust. That's the one of the podcasts. Grail Status 13. Not sure if you have seen his name float around before, but he's a big Jordan guy. And so he buys he had like 3 pairs of black cement 3s, right? And he had 2 pairs of CDP pack, and he had the most recent pair, right? He sold the most recent pair and kept the 2 CDP packs. He soul swapped the one with the 312s, right? The Just Dawn 312.
Yeah.
So when they were on crazy sale a few years ago, he bought like the bread colorway and soul swapped them on the CDP pack. I have those ones now, and he has the original ones that he hasn't soul swapped. So he gave them, he not gave them. I paid essentially retail for them. And so for me, as you know, I don't mind buying used pairs, like at all. Like if I want a pair, like I've been waiting, like I told a ton of people in like the local community, I'm like, I will pay retail for a decent pair of Chicago ones, bread ones, whatever. I'll pay $100 more than retail for like bread ones, shadow ones, Royals, whatever. And then black cement 3s, I'd pay retail for it because And he reached out to me one day and he's like, so I'm looking to sell them. I'll pay what I'll have you pay what I paid, including the soul swap for them, which ended up being 220 Canadian, which, you know, and now he's a big Jordan guy, and we always talk about like the quality stuff. And I always, that same thing in the group chat, right? Like I'm like, I Jordan quality to me doesn't make sense, right? Like it's very like they make mistakes, their QC is terrible, and they all admit that. And then so Rich, who I bought off of, he's like, CDP pack, that was like, that was like the glory years of Jordan from like 2000 to 2010 or so. That's when they put all their quality into that shoe. And I could tell like the pair that I have, like it is old and it feels new still, the upper. Like, you mean like the elephant print is worn, but I kind of like that. It's more of like a felt now, like not felt, like a suede, like a hairy suede. I like that. It's kind of like gives it character, right? And it doesn't have Nike Air on the back, but I don't care. I bought that shoe because I wanted that shoe. Like the shape is better as well than the 2018 pair. Now I will say the threes that are coming out this year, perfect shape on them. I don't know if you've seen it. Like they're like that elephant print is nice and thin.
Yeah.
It's very tempting. I've said like I might go after. I'm not a Jordan person, but I think I'm gonna either go for I will go for the fire red threes or the non-OG type colorway pair, which is the white and with the purple. It's really nice. It's like a random, and I don't think that'll sell out. I think that will give me the opportunity to think for a sec before I buy it, which is nice. I don't have to like rush to it.
Yeah, I can't do. So I'm very adverse to non-OG colorways.
Same.
Like
well, you saw my post. I have the Chicago ones. I have the Jordan 2 Chicago's. I have black cement threes, and I have the 1.5s because I can't do the it's not an OG colorway. I know he only wears Chicago's, the 1.5s. I know, but that's for me. Like I have a very hard time paying for Jordans that aren't OG because I'd rather spend money towards New Balance or Adidas or Asics or like any of those like unique pairs. As you know, I buy I know I didn't buy the I'm gonna ruin the name, butcher the name. Dizygotic? No, how's it?
The dizygotic.
What is it?
Dizygotic.
Dizygotic. Okay, so I'm gonna butcher the name. So I didn't buy those. They're a little too expensive because they're like 400 by the time they get to me. And I get like it's honestly, when Max released his pair, I'm like, Max, how much are they? And he told me, and he's like, he's even said, he's like, if you want a pair, let me know and I can ask for them to set one aside so you can buy it. And I was like, that's really nice of you, but how much is it? And he's like, oh, it's 220 euros, right? Or whatever it was. It was 220, right? 220 euros?
I didn't pay that.
Did you pay 180 euros?
I paid 120.
Oh, lucky you.
120, 135. I don't know if you were, because that was, see, you weren't in the group chat. Like the day that they released, I forget who the boutique was, but they had a sale and it was like 35 or 40% off everything. And they released, and Justin like had this code and he used it.
Oh my gosh, I missed it that day. Are you kidding me?
And like it didn't work. It wasn't working for me. And I went back like 4 or 5 times and I finally got it to work, and it dropped the price down to like 134 shipped. And I was like, boom, done.
Oh my gosh. So anyways, Max told me, right? Like, if you want it, whatever, I think it was 180 euros. That actually makes sense. And what happened was I did the math. I was like, okay, well, it's like 220 Canadian. Okay, then I got to add shipping. The shipping is going to be 30 euros. So make that 45 Canadian, and then like add the duties, and that's going to be $100. And I'm like, I said, it's going to be $400. And I told him, I said, I love your shoe, man. I even put it on my top 5 list of last year. I put it at number 2 on my list, right behind the Amaminier threes. literally right behind it. And of course, everyone like in Canada, like they're like, I don't know what that is. John knew, and that was about it, right?
Yeah.
And I genuinely think how beautiful that shoe is. But I was like, and I told him, I said, I can't spend $400, man. I said, I have a hard limit of 300 Canadian. And he's like, he messaged me back, Max, and he's like, I understand, because he's like, my limit is 300 euros. Actually, he's like, I don't spend more than that on a shoe
Yeah.
either.
Yeah.
And so he understood. He's like, and I said, I love it, but I hope you understand why I can't spend $400 on a shoe. And he goes, I get it. And but yeah, like there's that whole like quality thing, and I look at that. And, I want a pair of Ruse, but guess what? I gotta wait till it goes on sale somewhere. Like
Yeah.
they sell out now, it seems like, right? Like everywhere, like when they have a good release.
Not in my size, maybe not in your size. They
Yeah,
don't sell
I'm a
out.
pretty common size. I'm a 9.5, 10 US size.
There was a 10.5 that was on sale.
Yes,
And
it was a 10.5. Yeah, it was too big.
Max's shoe a
Yeah, I
few
remember.
weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like I think there's a
John
lot
let
of
me
people
know.
that have a hard limit at 300. 300 seems to be like the reasonable sort of threshold. And I think for me, it's sort of the same thing. Um, but I'm more of like a retail too is like really, really a hard stop for me. Like one of the shoes that was really expensive was the Mosh shoe. And like I like it. And I like,
It's
but
expensive.
it's not for me. It's not for me, right? Like I don't
Interesting.
I had a pair and like I just I put it on and I would
Is the midsole too thick?
uh yeah, and it was a little wide.
It
Like
seems bulky. It seems like a bulky looking shoe.
wide looking, yeah. And like when you
Yeah,
have a big foot, it's like not it's
looks
not
like
that
clown.
to me it's not that flattering. But that's also because I'm thin. Like I think if you're
A
a
bigger
heavier set
person.
person,
Yeah.
it doesn't bother you as much.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like I really like it, and I had a pair, and it just I think if they were like 180, I would have kept them.
Did you have the goulash, like the
Yeah,
tie-dye pair? I
yep.
love that. That's my favorite colorway he did.
It
I
was
love it.
great. It was great. It was
Beautiful.
amazing.
Yeah.
But it was like for
You didn't
$300.
keep it
Am I
though,
gonna
eh?
keep this? Huh?
You didn't keep it?
No, I sold it. I was like, because I'm not gonna wear it. And
Fair.
like I said, if it was $180, I could have kept it and I would have justified it and
Yeah.
I would have worn it at some point. But I think I had it for like 3 or 4 months and then it was just sitting there, right? And I'm like
Yeah.
going through this clean out, and I'm sort of like, all right, now's it's like decision time. Is there a point where you see yourself wearing this shoe? Or do you want to just get your $300 back? And I was like, I just want my $300 back.
Jeez, yeah. That's crazy. That's crazy because I know. So like,
People
it's interesting you
love
talk
his
about
shoe,
shape.
and I get it.
It's interesting you
He's
talk
from
about shape.
Connecticut. He lives in Connecticut. So it's like,
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
so it's not even like he took pictures for that shoe like 3 blocks from or a block from my office, right? So like,
Really?
yeah,
That's
like right
cool.
down the street.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it's like it really hurt me to sell him because I'm like, I really want to support him because he's local, But I
Yeah.
just I can't I won't keep a shoe in my collection that I'm not gonna wear. There's only one shoe that I have in my collection that I haven't worn and that I won't wear probably, and that I'll probably keep for a very long time. Um
What is it?
uh just the friends and family uh Air Force One from Social Status.
And you won't wear it?
I'm not an Air Force One person.
It's true.
They're great. Like I could picture at some point me wearing them, honestly. But there's like 998 of them, and like I have one, so it's kind of like I
Do you have
don't.
a Sonra though?
I do not have a Sonra.
Okay, I was gonna say, as I know how much you love them, and I'm like, they're pretty limited, aren't they? Like, like
Max's shoe is limited.
Max's shoe is limited. Yeah,
There's
that's what I
four.
mean. Like Max's shoe, like to be brutally honest, if someone was like, I'm letting them go. Who wants them? And I'm, for a certain value, because like who knows, like in a year or two, somewhere I'm like, I'll take them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I love that shoe. I don't have a shoe that is like an olive brown type colorway that I own. I do not own. Sorry, I did buy a pair of. I got a pair of ACGs. I don't know if you saw me post them, and it's because I needed a new hiking shoe, but that's different. I'm
Yeah.
talking about like, oh, I do have the stray rats, but again, like that's not like it's got bright neon and purple, and I don't count that. Like I'm thinking like primarily brown olive type shoe. I do not own one because for me, if I'm gonna buy one, it's a great. I love that shoe, to be
I have
honest.
so many brown shoes all of a
But
sudden.
no, but you see that though, it still has pop of color, right? Okay, so beef and broccolis, I know, very, very common. For me, it looks like a hiking shoe, like from like the 90s, which I know I get that. That's the point. Don't talk about that collection. I wanted anything from that collection, and I checked out with the wrong colors, and I did not get any of them. So
Tons of brown
uh,
shoes.
but like the point is, like I'm looking if I'm gonna get a brown or olive shoe, so SVD as well. Like I've looked at those and I'm like, might get those. But there's just something like I need something that's like special in that color. Those ruse that Max did, yeah, those ruse that Max did though, it's got those colors, but there's something about it that makes it so unique. And if someone saw them, like, oh, that's a good looking shoe. No offense to the SVD or the beef and broccolis, a non-sneakerhead would look at those and be like, those are old people shoes. But if like you see those ruse, like they're just
Yeah.
like a very unique, they have different texture, like they have different, like they have a pop of what, the red, right? Like the red in them. Yeah. Again,
It's coral. It's like a coral red. It's really nice.
yeah,
A really nice coral red.
but it's a beautiful shoe. Like it's just, I look at it and I hate to say it, sometimes I think of like the non-sneakerhead. Like today I wore the Sean Wotherspoon ZX 8000s. I freaking love those shoes. Honestly, I would have paid retail for them. I did not. I paid $100, $110 Canadian for them. But like the point is like I get them in hand and I'm like, this shoe is so unique. And if you ever get one in hand, you'll see why I love it. Anyone who has a pair, they love them. If people don't have them, it's like, oh, they're ugly. But you get it, and like how many different little details that are on that shoe. It's a mass-produced shoe, and the detailing on it, the different textures, the different, like they have like canvas, they have plaid, they have I don't know, there's like a different cloth material, there's all these stitchings. Know what the coolest part of the shoe, oh, I don't have it on me, it's actually literally right there, but like in the heel counter there's like a basically a jumbled up amount of threads, and it just looks so cool. And I'm not talking about like the loose threads that like I cut them so they weren't dragging, but like I don't get that part about them. But people knock like Sean Wotherspoon, whatever, with the Adidas. To be honest, when you see them initially and you see them in pictures, unless it's like an actual photographer doing it, they look ugly, to be like flat out. And because I thought it, I'm like ZX 8000, like I'm gonna pass that. It's not my ZX 8000. You know what I mean? Same thing with the Super Turfs. Super Turfs come out. I'm like, that's a little weird looking shoe. And then the more I saw it, I saw people put them on their feet. I saw proper shots, not just like stock photos and stuff. And again, you get it in hand, and how many different little details that only if you get it in hand you can see it. And like I like that about that. Like we talk about like the retail and on sale, both of those I got for like not like 30 to like 50% off. But to me, I get them in hand because I've wanted them, and I get them in hand, I go, man, I would have paid retail for these. Like it's nice to have that surprise, you know what I mean, when you get something in, versus like, a salmon toe, you're gonna get it in, you're like, this is a beautiful shoe, get it in hand, it's a beautiful shoe, right? Versus like you might like take a chance on a pair and you'd be like, you know what, this in hand is way better than I expected. And again, like I talk about that Sean Wotherspoon a lot and the Wotherspoon stuff because I know you don't like shoppers, but like the pairs themselves, I don't think they get the justification because we've talked about this in our local sneaker group. And I said, if they were Nikes, they'd fly off the shelves. They'd be hyped. Everyone would want a pair because that's just Nike, right? Like they would have said, oh, look at this limited. They would have hyped it up, hype. And people would have ate it up and sold it. Because it's Adidas, they don't hype it up. They just go, oh, it's coming out. Here it is. Oh, it's ugly.
I don't think that's the problem. I don't think that's the problem with his shoe or his shoes. I don't think that's a problem with Adidas shoes in general.
Mhm.
I think Sean has multiple problems. But like I think his problems are layered. But I think that I don't know what it is, but like Kanye is like the only person that can have success at Adidas, and Pharrell apparently.
Yeah.
Um,
I won't. I love Adidas. You know that. I do not buy anything Kanye. Never
yeah,
have.
I don't
Never
either
will.
though.
I
It's
actually I like the Wave Runners a lot. Doesn't mean the Blush 500s that are releasing. Love them. I won't buy them. It's like,
no, I wouldn't. I can't do it either. I don't know what it is though. Like about. So I think about like the Sean Witherspoon collection, and I like the Super Turf. It's a cool shoe. It's
a
like a really
wild
cool shoe.
shoe.
Yeah, like purely without his stamp. Even the GR ones
Those
are really
GR,
good
those
looking.
brown and green ones, I want them so bad,
They're
but
so
they haven't
good.
released here. They released in Europe only so far.
See, but like for me, I'm kind of like I feel like they
They
don't care about it
oversaturate.
as much as
That's like
they don't care about it, right? It feels like Adidas doesn't care about it. That's why we don't care about it. And so like I also kind of feel like they they are trying to impress you and it's not going well. And so they kind of double down because like Jonah Hill
oh
and
yeah, that collab, yeah.
is just like, he's like a massive fashion person all of a sudden, right? Out of nowhere. And so he gets with Adidas and you would think, okay, this would be cool. He's going to do something cool. Not that he didn't, but it's kind of like, all right, like it
I
doesn't feel
think
like momentous at all. Like at all. Like he
they
doesn't do
don't.
any lead up to it. And I feel like
Yeah.
other Nike people do their own lead ups
Mhm.
to their own to releases of their own shoe.
Yeah.
And like he didn't, right? Like there was nothing sort of
Because Adidas chooses those artists, right? Because I'm gonna say outside of Kanye, so Jay Lorenzo, Sean Witherspoon, Pharrell, they're not really guys that like are, I don't know how to explain it. They don't market themselves like a lot of these other Nike collabs, like a James Whitner, right? James Whitner, like he has so much behind him, right? From social status and now I'm a Meunier and all this stuff, right? Like people know who he is. And it's funny because he's like quiet, but he somehow has like a huge story behind him and all this following. Versus like you have Pharrell, who again, people know who he is. He can hype it up. Pharrell's not gonna be the other example because Pharrell does sell a lot of shoes, but like, I don't know, like no offense, when Jerry Lorenzo eventually does release a shoe, I don't think it's gonna sell out instantly.
I don't know.
And it's
I
just
don't
something
know.
about it. And
I don't know.
if it does, cool. But like, I I don't know. There's something about to me, the reason why, like obviously there's the marketing aspect. I still think it's a very much a North American thing as well. Because if you go to the UK, like if you listen to a few UK podcasts, they love Adidas, they love New Balance, like crazy. And they sell out in those stores.
But the
And then
market is
here,
different. Like and when I say the market, I don't mean like the people are different and the people buying things are different.
the
I say
market
that the
different.
things that they're consuming are different than the things that are the North American Adidas tries to sell us.
Well, I think we've talked about this maybe in the past, but I talk about this on other podcasts as well. As a living in North America, our heroes sports wise were always basketball and football, right? And you look at those two sports, Nike dominated those 80s, 90s, 2000s. And like, yes, you had Adidas sprinkled in. Yes, you had Reebok sprinkled in. But let's be brutally honest. Jordan and Nike still released every shoe that you wanted. Football and basketball specifically, but they released iconic runners in that time too, right? Like you had the air bubble and everyone's like, ooh, right? Like air bubble. And then they just continued that trend and almost like bulldozed like other people. Obviously, again, Reebok, I would say was bigger probably in North America than Adidas through those 90s, but like, I don't know. It's different because for us, it's nostalgia, right? Like in Europe, like if you talk to the guys in the UK, they remember ZXs. They remember what's the line that Matt Welty loves? Specials, right? Like those lines of those runners were so big in the UK. Here, ZX, no one knew who ZX, like in the last 5 years, the only reason why people know ZX is because they did the A to ZX collection again, right? And it's not nostalgic to us. It's nostalgic for them. It's not nostalgic for us. Nostalgic for us is when Nike releases, I don't know, those tuned airs, right? Like again, I don't get them, but like who was it was talking about like just unique Nike runners that they're releasing again. It's like, oh, nostalgic. I remember, right? Like you don't get that from Adidas because we never got those shoes. Like it just wasn't in our mindset back in the 90s. Like I remember Nike, Reebok. Those are the two brands I remember. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, but I think for me, like, and this is also someone that has gravitated away from Nike a lot.
Right.
You know, I see stuff from Adidas and I like it, and I grab like, like I will say maybe one thing a year. I think last year I grabbed two things from them, but it's always difficult for me because it's not that I don't like the things that they produce. It's that their formula is sort of based around the Nike formula, right? Which is to give me this mass produced thing that doesn't have, and I know you might feel differently, have the quality and like the detailing, at least in the mass produced, at least in the like general release stuff.
Waterspoon. No, Waterspoon's, man. I know what you're saying.
But it's
a
collab. It's a collab, right? It's not general release, right? So like,
but they are. So that's another thing. Like I know, like you're talking about that Adidas, and again, I've talked about this as well. When they do a collab or they do anything, the only pair in the last like 2 years, I swear, that has had a limited supply was those ZX 8000 Legos, the ones that had the actual different color palettes. That was the only pair that sold out. And guess what? There's no way that they had less of they must have had less of those because everything else sat for like, even if it was hyped like or something like that, at least sat for like a week. You know what I mean? At least in Canada. And it sold quicker in Canada than the US. I know that. But like when they have these collabs, when they have these, Adidas just throws a ton of them out. And I think that's another thing. Nike doesn't do that, right? They're like, oh, it's going to be like if they did the A to ZX Nike collection as an example, right? Obviously, it doesn't make sense. But like if they did something like that, Nike would be like, okay, these many pairs, it would sell it instantly. Adidas, hey, we're going to hype this pair up. Guess what? It didn't sell out because you made like 1 million of them, right? And it's like they just sit and they go to Elditz. Like, what's the pair that you bought? You bought a pair of ZX crazy. The Atmos pair, right?
How about the Concepts pair?
Or sorry, Concepts pair.
Yeah.
And the Concepts pair, like that thing is wild, and I understand why it didn't sell out. Like for sure, I completely understand that. But if they did a limited run through Concepts, because they made a ton of them. If they did like what Nike does and go like, I'm going to release this amount through concepts, and then we're going to do a drop of minimal pairs in the US and Canada, and that's it. It would have sold out and it would have been hype and everyone would have been like, oh, I need that pair. But because they didn't do that, they gave a ton everywhere to every boutique, to everywhere, and they're like, it didn't sell out. There was no hype behind it, right? Because of that. So it's interesting. Like Nike's model is like, give it to concepts, sell that out. Then let's release it on sneakers, sell it out. Let's release it in Canada, sell it out. Don't give it to any boutiques because it's a collab. Just only the boutique that it initially run at, right?
Yep.
Versus Adidas, we're like, we're gonna give it to everybody. Have the opportunity for everyone to buy it. And people don't like that. I like that.
Everybody does that with collabs. I guess it's to a different scale. Because like that's the Saucony model, right? Is like we're gonna do it first at the store and then we're gonna release it worldwide. New Balance is the same thing. They did that with like Joe Fresh Goods. You release it and then worldwide. They're doing it right now.
Minimum supply though, like the supply is much lower. That's what I'm
saying. Is like I think they do such a lot smaller supply than like Adidas does though, and so like like I totally get it. Like I think they do good things. Like I think we talked about the Kith release over the summer. That was just like really
Superstar
sort of
like, and all that. Yeah.
It was like under the radar. Like no one. I mean, I think of all the Kith shoe collections that have released in the past couple of years, it's one where I saw stuff sitting there like a month later, like not wide size selections, but usually it's not like the salmon toes where they were gone like instantly, right? So it was just like, really? Like this is high quality stuff. It's very nostalgic. It's very simple. It's clean. You can wear it with anything. I'm surprised it's like fitting, right? Like it just, it seems like they need to do a better job. And I will say this too, they need to do a better job with the visuals of their shoes on people. Not just hey, here's a product photo, but hey, here's someone wearing it. Here's someone cool wearing it. And like, because I think that doesn't happen, right? Like with Nike, you see everyone wearing it. Like the week before, like all their influencers have a pair and they're all wearing it, and you can kind of like visualize, oh, this would be so great in my closet. This would be so great with this outfit that I'm going to wear, or this thing I'm going to go to. With Adidas's stuff, I never get that sense. Like there's and that was why I bought something from the Kith collection, because I remembered, I was like, oh, this is a cool silhouette. I remember when I was younger, the nostalgia piece, but I can visualize me in it.
Yeah.
With the ZX stuff, I can't do it. Like I really can't visualize myself and wearing it, right? Like
true. I get it.
I can't visualize anyone that I don't want to say look up to or admire or whatever, but like
influence you. That influence you. You can't think of someone who influences you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like you don't visualize Adidas's on their feet. I can visualize them in Jordan 1s. I can visualize them in New Balance 992s. I can visualize them in like a Gelite 3, but not with an Adidas. Like, because it just, no matter who's wearing it, it seems off brand. It doesn't seem like it's really or authentically part of their brand, right?
Well, there was 2 releases that Adidas did last year that I think were their best releases, and shout out to the Sneak Disc, because they mentioned both of them during their like underrated. And Rico shouted me out, which I laughed at, because he's like, so the one is the Aqua Ultra Boost, right? Like it is. I was the person that they literally said it's going to be limited release of this line. So what did I do? As soon as it released on Essence, right? Who sent it to me? Who sent it to me in the group chat? Oh my goodness, I can't remember right now, but they sent it to Essence in there, and I went and bought it. Full price, full pop retail, $265 Canadian plus tax. And it was like $290 to my house or something, right? And so I paid for a full price Ultra Boost basically. and because it wasn't free shipping, because Essence doesn't do free shipping, you like $15, which is annoying. Um, but like I bought it, and of course it sold out basically instantly on Essence. Like it sold out in like within a few hours, at least in like the good sizes. Like they had a size 7 and a size like 13, right? Like didn't have anything in between. But like I got them, and I was so happy. It was my, I think it was my most liked photo last year, outside of like once I got the bacons, then I blew it away. But like that photo, I swear I didn't see anyone wearing them. Nobody. I posted, you couldn't find anyone wearing that, like who bought them. I got them before most people, which is weird. And I'm like, there's something not right about this. Because then they released a ton of them,
They're
right?
everywhere.
And they're on sale everywhere. They're freaking half price everywhere.
Yep.
And it's like, I don't understand. Like, you should have made that a limited release. Everyone liked it. Again, even the guys on Sneak This, they're like, it is a great shoe, such a great shoe. But the problem is, like you said, they didn't give it to anybody. They made it kind of like, oh, if you know, you know. And then they released it, and they're like, oh, and then everyone made me think it's limited. And then they released everywhere, and everything's on sale. And it's just like, so no, it's funny though. I don't regret buying it though at full price, because I love that shoe so much. It is such an excellent shoe. It is an Ultra Boost with 1.0 with it's the DNA, so it doesn't, so it has like the suede toe box, which is fine. But like, I don't regret it. Now I was gonna say the other shoe is the Packer 4D. That shoe that they did was beautiful, but it didn't get the love because, like you said, other than Packer doing their whole thing about it, like I think it did sell. It sat maybe for like a few days or something like that, but like it didn't have that hype that every other release would have done, which is weird to me, right? And it's a great shoe, but like you said, I can't visualize anybody wearing it. I can't. I'm an Adidas guy. I'm like, I have no idea who wore it. I've never seen him. Maybe a handful of people wear it on IG.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Like, it's a beautiful shoe, and no one freaking knows about it.
Yeah. You know the funny thing, right? And so I was thinking about this today. Like, so I'm not, obviously, you know, I really don't buy Jordans. I don't look. I don't care. Like, I really don't care. Maybe a Jordan 1 will pop up, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. But I don't even go for them, right? But I follow Nigel Sylvester, and what was it? Lightning Fours. So Lightning Fours came out. I was like, everyone went nuts over them, and I'm kind of like, this is sort of like a stupid shoe. Like, I'm like, it's like 15, 16 years too late. Like, I don't care anymore. I'm so over it. Like, I didn't care. When people talk about it, I was kind of like annoyed, because I was like, all right, like, we know. Yes, they released the yellow 4. Okay, I got it. Right. And then today, like, I'm scrolling, and I see Nigel Sylvester, like, and he has like leather pants on, and he's like wearing Lightning Fours, and he's doing like tricks on his bike, and I'm like, oh, those are kind of
look hot.
Like, those are kind of dope. Like, I totally could see myself rocking those now. Like, right? But that never happens with Adidas. You're never scrolling and see someone like, oh man, those ZXs are dope. Like, I never even thought, like, well, you never see that, right? You're never in a moment. There's never a moment where you're like, oh man, like, I see this person wearing something randomly from Adidas that makes you go, ooh, that's kind of cool. It's always Kanye. It's always Yeezys, right? It's always, that's the only thing you see that people wear from sort of like Adidas or like their wing.
Yeah.
Never ZX. It's never any of their old like soccer stuff. It's never like Spezials. And like, I've never bought a Spezial. I'm not a Spezial fan. But the fact that Welty wears Spezials, and I've seen him in them, and I've seen like him put together outfits, that kind of turned me into them and makes me look at them a little bit more.
Yeah.
And so if more people were wearing them that I could see, and I could visualize, okay, am I a Spezial person? Are those people that I
Mm,
associate with myself,
yeah.
like that might change my mind on a Spezial?
They're not comfortable enough for me. There's zero cushions. Like,
No, they're absolutely not comfortable
no,
at
they're
all.
not comfortable.
But
So,
but like that's the thing that Adidas doesn't do, is they don't like create the visual where you can go, ooh, that's a person that I want to be with, or that's a person that like I
yeah.
admire, or that's a person that like I can visualize myself, hanging out with. Like I want to be like them. You
Yeah.
never have that experience with any of their shoes except Yeezy products, because so
Yeah.
many people wear them and so many people are like, and to me it's kind of nauseating with the Yeezy products because you just see them everywhere on everyone, and it's kind of like, all right, enough already.
It's just a carousel. It's the same looking color. Like he changes it by like one little like change. Like it's like, oh, it's sand, but
Yeah.
now it's hot sand. It's the same thing. It's like a little lighter. I don't
Desert
know, like
sand. Desert sand.
desert sand. Yeah, how about charcoal? Charcoal brown. Same thing. It's slightly darker
Yeah.
than the sand that
Yeah.
you just released.
Yeah.
No, like it's
Yeah.
just like, oh my gosh. I said like,
Uh,
I don't know. But it's funny if, and to be honest, when they released the V2s like years ago, I actually thought they looked like a fake China pair. Like I'm not a fan of the V2. I don't get the stripe. I don't get why they put supply 350 or whatever on it. I think it looks corny. I think the first one, I think the V1 is a great looking shoe. Unfortunately, it got so many fakes that it looks that no one wants it now because they're all fake. But V2s, it looks, I don't know, it just looks cheap, and it's not cheap. So for example, I will say this. I love the oat one they released, and I'm like, that is a cool looking shoe, and they changed it finally. And that I almost bought that shoe. That's how much I freaking liked it. And I don't buy any Yeezy stuff. I have zero influence on wanting to buy it. But when those oats, I'm like, oh, that's a good looking shoe. They changed it that I think it doesn't look cheap at all
yeah.
because they got rid of that stripe. They made it like just a different design on it. And but I look at that and I look at like, I don't know, some of these shoes, and I'm just like, oh, he's so unique. And I'm like, not really. I said, some of them look pretty basic. And then then he releases the dumpling one. That thing is ugly as can be. But I just don't get it. I don't get the Croc foam runner thing. I actually got a pair in hand, so I can judge them because I actually had a pair in hand because I won one, and I told someone, I'm like, if I don't like it, it's yours. You can have it. It's like the person's like, okay. I get them in hand. I take them out, and I'm like, what the? I said, they're exactly how I like. Remember how I was saying earlier when I got my hands on the Waterspoons, and I'm like, these
Yeah.
are awesome. I'm freaking so happy I have these. They're way better. I get these in hand, and I go, yep, looks exactly how I thought it was gonna look in hand and on my foot. It looked so stupid. And hey, some people can rock them. I get it. Some people can rock them with the socks and all that. Listen, they look like dinosaur feet. They look like velociraptor feet to me. You know what I mean? Like they look like.
If people can rock them, but they don't look good. I'm not.
Mm-mm.
I get the Croc thing. I understand the Croc thing. It's not for me. I
Yeah,
understand it. But
same.
once you venture outside of Crocs, you have lost me completely, right? Like, and so those are kind of like, I just like, for me, it'd be cooler if there was like 100 pairs of this, and it was like, this is an artistic sculpture, an artistic expression of blah 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 something, right? And it was like, and so it's a wearable piece of art or something, and like that, I guess, to me would be more appealing than the fact that it's this mass produced thing that everyone says is amazing. And I'm like, what if there's a breeze? What if what if it rains? What if like something splashes? Like, I'm like, all of these things. And the funny thing to me about like a shoe like that, and is that people will tell me that like New Balances are like corny, or or any number of things that are like
Old man. They're an old man shoe.
old
That's a
man
thing
shoe,
that
all this, and I'm just
comes up.
like, okay, but like it has an upper, like it doesn't have massive 3-inch holes in the side panel, right? Like I do not understand it, and like maybe I'm getting very old, but it just the appeal is not there for me. There's not a situation where I'm like, this is the best option.
I agree.
If
Like
I'm
it's,
going to the beach, there's a sandal, there's a flip flop, right? Like if
as I said, no, I said it would be a good water shoe. That's what I said. But I've got it on my foot, but I got it on my foot. It wouldn't because I put it without socks on. Like, is that like that's how I would wear it? I won't wear it with socks. And I'm like, I put it on with, I'm like, if like my foot would get sweaty. Like it's not
yeah,
that many holes. You know what I mean? Like it's like
it's
it's
not
like,
breathable.
well, you know the funny thing is just like from that foam runner to the slide, right? Like I look at the Yeezy slide or whatever, it's $80 too expensive. That thing should be $30. Like that should not be a $80, $70 pair or whatever it is. I don't even know what it is, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like, I don't know. I just the whole thing is just like he's like, oh, everyone's gonna get their hands on a pair. I'm like, then freaking make them like somewhat like what they're worth. Like a 350 V2 is not worth $320 Canadian. It's worth what an Ultra Boost is worth. If you want to sell it for an Ultra Boost price, I get it. But like that thing is not worth anything more. We could go down that Kanye rabbit hole, but it's just like
Yeah.
it's all
I
influence. But
I know,
when
I
you,
know. It's also part of just the whole mystique of like, and like for me, it's part of the celebrity like enabling, which I'm like,
yeah,
everything that he produces is not amazing. Like I don't believe in that. Like I think that we can say that he's talented and that he's produced some shoes that are hits without saying that everything that he produces is amazing and
yep,
without everything that he produces selling out. Like
yep.
I'm of the mindset where if you make everything that an artist produces sell out just because it's that artist, eventually they're going to make crap. And like I think that there needs to be sort of a line, and like you
Mhm.
need to hold like artists to a standard, and once they like drop below a certain standard, you need to not buy their product or not support them in certain ways, because then that makes them go back and like, okay, we got to do this again. That's what happened with Nike with their quality in, you know, the early 2010s, right? Because they were like, oh, everything is plasticky, we're not giving you like real OG stuff, we're putting like,
Mhm.
you know, Jumpmans where there should be Nike Air and all this crazy stuff, right? And people were upset and stopped buying product, and it sat. So then they had to go back and revamp, right?
Before
And so
resellers though, right? The resellers have ruined that for everybody. That's the whole other conversation, but
yeah,
that's the reality of it is that resellers know, okay, if I buy up all that stock, it's going to drive up the price because hey, everyone's going to want them because no one can get them. Even if they're
absolutely.
ugly as can be, 450 resins, no one, they're so ugly and people will still pay even $100 over retail for them, which blows my mind, right? Because, oh, well, I couldn't get them on release day, but this one's it's only $100 more. Well, don't pay it. Just freaking make them sit. Resellers will screw themselves over because no one wants that shit. Okay, no one.
No,
It's like you only see it on Instagram with these like wild hype beast outfits, but you don't see them in public. Go in Toronto, no one's wearing them. You know what I mean? Like no one, like you see 350 V2s everywhere for sure. You see 500s. You see, you see foam runners everywhere. You do, you know what I mean? Like, which is wild to me, but like, there's that whole pair versus like, it's funny because you have the whole opposite side with like New Balance, right? Where you have New Balance where they release a GR gray pair of 990 V2s right now, and they sit for maybe like a few days, maybe a week, but they're gone. They're pretty much gone, and they don't have zero hype behind them. I don't know. Like we obviously New Balance, I don't know how they did. I don't know how they're still doing it because like they release something, it's gone still. Like or like let's say, and I say gone, it's gone in like a week. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
it'll sit for a little bit, but it does eventually sell out. And I think that just has to do with maybe supply and demand a little bit too, of like how much they're actually making. But like there's something nostalgic now that they've created of like it being that shoe that you want, right? Like you want a 990 V2, you want a 990 V3, you want a 990 V4, which for some people is like, well, it's just a grandpa shoe. I don't think the V2, I think the V2 is the best looking 990 personally, but it's one of those things that like, even at the price point that it's at, you know, even though it's not made in the USA, 70% is made in the USA. So guess what? It's still USA. But like, I don't know. I don't know what they've done different. Like obviously they did like those small like releases, I think, and that's what happened. Like they built up that hype. Everyone wants it. They put it in the hands of people that wear it, right? Like not to say Jack Harlow or whatever was an influence, but I think he was on the younger fan base for him. To like all these young high school kids are wearing New Balance now, which never was a thing. It's like, oh, I want to be like Jack because he mentioned New Balance in like every song, right? And it's like the young kids are wearing it, but then people like you are already wearing it. And it's like, cool, we're getting the pairs we want and I can get my pair. Oh, collabs coming out, I can get my pair. But then it's like they almost did like 2 generations or like OGs. And like for me, I'm not a New Balance head, right? At all. But I do love New Balance now. Like I've come to be like, okay, I got the start of it, I guess, was the 992 Kithmas, right? I know people don't like the colorway, but I love the colorway. And like my most recent one were the 99
Stray Rats.
Yeah, the Stray Rat 991s, right? And I will say it is very snug. So I don't know how many more I'll get just based on that. I think it's a better looking shoe than a 990 V2. Or not, sorry, 992. I think it's a better looking shoe. A 991 is better looking than 992.
Oh, absolutely.
But for me, 992s fit my foot way better. They're much more comfortable for me because I have a wide foot. So it's too pointed. It's too narrow. It's too flat at the end, right? It's almost like they should have dug a little deeper to give the more space. Like I don't know, but like again, for my foot, it just doesn't work. But I do love that shoe a lot. But I don't know how many times I wear it. And versus the 992 where everyone has them now and they release and all these colorways, they're a comfortable shoe. That's why people wear them. And as bad as I want to fit 5740, I know OG heads don't like it. I think it's a good looking shoe, but my hesitancy with it is that when I see it on foot, it's huge. I'm like, why is it so big?
That midsole, man, it's just,
that's what turns me off of it.
and they're wide, and they're wide.
They look like a big, like when Josh wore them, right? Like 100 Bandits, right? Like because he posts them like, man, that looks beautiful. But then he has like another angle of it. I'm like, oh, maybe I don't like it. It looks good on him, but I'm like, that looks like a Balenciaga. But see, like it looks good there. It looks good, but then you put it on foot. Like I saw Rico, like when Rico wears them, and I'm like, it's a good looking shoe in hand, and then you put it on foot, and I'm like, man, that's wide. It's a big shoe.
It's really a big. Yeah, it's like a massive shoe.
Well, you're looking at it, you're like, oh.
Yeah, because it goes like. They're nice, but they're
nice. I love it. I think it looks amazing, but like I see it on foot and I'm like, I'm a pretty thin guy. So for me, like I got rid of all my Jordan 5s because they look ridiculous on me. I wear skinny jeans.
Absolutely.
Like I'm not gonna, like I wear tight skinny jeans, or if I do wear a tighter jean, it's still a slim jean. So I'm still tighter up top. And I got rid of my 5s because they're huge. I said, this does not match my aesthetic.
Yeah,
I look ridiculous.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a great shoe. I love the Jordan 5, but I can't rock it.
That's the way I feel. Yeah, it's the way I feel. Like my wife could wear them, like, and they'd look good.
Yeah,
but I can't.
Well, that's like a 5740 and a 327. Like on like women, for some reason, they look great, right? Like they look good on all women. But a guy like for me, like again, I want to. like a 327. Again, I actually don't mind that silhouette. I think it's a cool looking shoe, but again, they oversaturated it, so there's so many freaking colorways of it. So that's
Well,
another. But like
5742. So
5740, but it's funny, 5740. I see it in almost every color I see. I'm like, that's a good looking shoe, and then I see it on. I'm like, that's a big shoe.
they they overdid the 5740s too. And I think they just have to do so many because when they're doing made in Asia, it just makes no sense. I think for their minimums, they probably have to do so many
Yeah.
to make it worthwhile. But then they make that many and there's just not that demand for that
Well, I wanted that green. I literally had that green pair of 5740s that like the bricks in wood without the
without the red.
the reddish clay,
Yeah.
right? Basically, right? And I had them in my cart for months. They went down to like 78 bucks Canadian. I still didn't buy them. I'm just like, I don't know when I'm gonna wear them. I don't know.
You would get them and you'd go, this is good. It's nice. The quality is good. But
Yeah.
so the quality on a 5740 is like if Nike tried.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is. It's not as good as New Balance made in America,
Yeah.
but it's like a lot better than the Nike GR.
But I say that with like Adidas too. Like I don't know. Like again, I've had this conversations with a lot of people who are like Nike Jordan, like even like so. I've been on in Kicks We Trust twice now, and both times, especially the second time, we really dove into like the like quality thing. And people think I hate Jordan or Nike. I'm like, listen, my favorite pickup from last year were the Bacons. Like that's a grail shoe to me, even with all the quality issues. And there were little stuff on it. I don't care. I bought it because I love that colorway. I love the story behind it. I love the shoe. So that was my favorite pickup was last year personally, right? But I really wish they took out of Adidas's book or New Balance's book and go like, look it, even though you have all these quality materials, look, my Ultra Boost Aquas have zero issues with them, zero loose threads, zero glue stains, and they released millions of them. You released 500,000 of this shoe, and it just looks awful. You butchered it. Like you mean like so many quality control issues. The fire red fours, right? When they released those, they're like pink. I'm like, how does that happen? I was like, the fake market has better quality shoes than what Jordan's releasing. I said, that's an issue. Like hire those factories. Don't freaking to make it then. It's just like I don't get. And when they defend it and they're like, oh, because they're pumping out so many. And I'm like, yeah, but everyone does that. New Balance and Adidas, like we said, they make a ton of them, like a ton. You can't tell me that they can't improve that a little bit more, Nike. Like it's come on.
Yeah.
It's like,
No, I don't know. There's just something like if they weren't selling out, I think they would revisit. But the fact that they do makes them
oh
not
yeah,
revisit. And like again, it goes to the whole resale thing. Like right now, the resellers are acting as like the sort of the stores, like the
yeah,
stores that would normally they would be sitting on those shelves. They're sitting at resellers, or resellers have them, and they're using that as a way to sort of push them as limited commodity when they're not. They're really not. And so, yeah, it kind
no,
of sucks. Um, I yeah, I kind of miss like a few years ago, like 2015, when there were like all these low volume shoes that would get produced, like Diodora when they would do their like 1 of 500, and like
and
they kind of
9,000.
sit and like
Yeah,
be something like really cool and really like high quality, and like nobody does that anymore. It's like either it's really rare and you can't get it, or it's really hyped and they produce a lot of them
yeah.
and you
Well, I
can't
don't
get
know.
it.
Sneap Crew does the high quality stuff, and like I said, like I don't have any, but like I know some people are like, oh, they're really high quality, they're great, and I think they're a good looking shoe. Sometimes I just like it's almost bad because like the way I think about it, because I support a world united. I don't know if you've seen like the shoes, like they're basically like the Fugazi type things, right? Where it's just like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna make something that's like based off of like an Air Force One or Jordan One or a Dunk, but I don't have a problem with someone like that because there's such small batches and they're not trying to make it like shout out to their owner. Like I have a good relationship with them now and really cool guy. And he doesn't do it to make money. And I think that's the big difference, right? You have like a Warren Lotus who was like, look it, I did this and I'm going to make all this money and I'm going to make a big deal about it. But like, I respect like, as much as like people maybe frown upon like these like Fugazi type things, like, or Kai, I guess is kind of the same thing, right? Where it's like, I'm a Drew Jordan 1 and a lightning bolt or whatever it is. And it's like, but I respect like the smaller batch little businesses that are like, you know what, I'm going to make something like this. I'm going to have 50 of them made and you can have it. If you don't want it, cool. So for me, I pre-ordered like their new Love 01, which is which is basically a Jordan 1 low, basically, right? But it's like their own, and they use a similar colorway. And I'm like, but like people are like, oh, why don't you buy Sneak Crew? It's more of a legit business. They have their own. I said, well, I don't know them though. Like I buy this person because I actually like their brand message. I buy them because like I know them personally as an artist, and they're like just unique. So I'd rather put my funds where I can buy there to someone that I know and support. Right. So it's like, and people don't get that too. They're like, why don't you just not buy 2 of those and buy your bread ones? And I'm like, because I'm not gonna, because I don't think Jordan needs more money. And I don't think a reseller needs more money either. Right.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a tough thing because I look at those small markets and I like them. I get it. But I'm not willing to pay an astronomical amount for it still, which again, people can understand it. I don't even understand why I do it, but like there's just something about it. I have to have a personal connection. Like there's another brand called Vauquer, which is based out of Montreal, and like very small batches, right? Like I think he only has like 400 followers, right? And so it's such a small little thing, but I know him. He's chatted about it. His thought process behind it. I'm like, I respect that. And maybe that's why like I'm not going to butcher their name, that company with the butterfly. Like I respect them, right? Because I'm like, hey, I get what you're doing. You have this packaging, you have this super high quality shoe. It was a little bit too expensive for me, but I get why people supported it, and I hope I see success out of them just for that reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
yeah, it's a wide world of sneakers, and like more, I guess you want to support the things that sort of open the market up, not necessarily keep things sort of flowing in the same direction that they've always been, and keeping the same people sort of in power, which is kind of like the way that I see it is like every time there's a Nike shoe that I don't go after, it's sort of like diminishing some of the demand that they have, right? And so I think that there's, like, for me, I think that I listened to the Sneak Diss, and the Camp Out was on, and he was talking about like, I don't go for something that I don't want or that I won't wear. And I am the same way. Like I am not going to Nike and checking sneakers every week. If there is something that pops up that catches my eye and there's a story or something behind it that I really like, I will maybe try. But even then, usually the saturation of so many people going after the same thing kind of kills it for me. Like I think Josh and I talked about the Air Max ones, the Pata Air Max ones that came out last year.
Yeah.
I love that shoe. Really like it.
Great shoe.
And then it just got saturated. Like I saw so many people with it, and it just lost its luster to me. And it was kind of like I just looked at, I don't know, I don't want to like judge people, but I just look at people and I go, you really had to have it after everybody else had it? Like that is, it's not like a video game where like you want to play and you want to participate necessarily. For me, it's kind of like I don't like want to be one of a million. I can't do it. It just
Mhm.
it's something that kind of turns me off and makes me go, okay, like now I'm sort of off of it. And so like that's the problem with sort of the Nike products is that they have stuff that I really like that gets sort of destroyed for me, or something that I don't have a shot at just because other people are going to commodify and monetize on it. And so
Yeah.
it really just, to me, it's like as a consumer, and I'm like old school consumer, like if you don't let me buy your product, I'm going to stop buying your product. That's
Mhm.
just the way it is. It doesn't make me want to do more to spend more,
Yeah.
right? Like if
Is
you
it,
don't make it easy for me to spend money with you, I'm not going to spend money with
well, it's
you. Right?
like, that's like dunks.
It's a very different mindset. Like people are like, oh, I don't have, oh, I can't spend money, oh, I can't get, oh, I can't get these. It's just gonna make
Mhm.
me want to get it even more, or that makes me want to pay resale.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's the exact opposite of the way that I feel. I am like, oh, you don't want to sell this to me? Oh, well, I don't want to buy it from you now. Like, I don't want to buy
You
it
know
from anyone.
what? That's like dunks, right? Like, because I know dunks were so cheap and no one wanted them. Like, I'm like, I haven't had a pair of dunks since high school. And last year, I literally went in for everything that I could. And I didn't personally win. I had somebody win for me those Georgetowns. I wear them like every day. They're little plasticky leather. Guess what? Plasticky leather, super durable. So I
Yeah.
wear them all the time. And there's like no marks on them, which is hilarious, right? Like they're just I don't even know how. Like I wear them through everything and I hit them on things and it doesn't seem to matter. And like, but I look at a dunk and but I will say this, I have those dunks, and then I have those bread J packs, the high that I got for like used for like $120 like recently. And it's like that's worth $120. You know what I mean? Like that's not worth $200+ for a GR dunk. Stupid, right? Like I don't get that. Like for me, I'm like, okay, it's $135 Canadian for a dunk. I know it's about 100. I think it's 100 in the States, right? For a GR dunk. It's worth that price. I get it for one that bread J pack. I love those shoes. I wear both of them a lot. Now, if dunks stayed at that price, obviously it's not going to because that's just how the hype is. And even ones they sell out, like those pandas, they release like every 3 weeks, I swear. And like they sell out and they're selling for 250 Canadian. I'm like, that's stupid. They're not worth that. Like clearly all these people are just sitting on it and not selling them. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, but it's funny now, but because I have those, I realized what I was missing. Like I had a ton of I had a couple pairs back in high school. I love them again. Like I throw them on all the time. But like again, there's like that thing, like I don't want to be part of what everyone else is doing, but like I do like my Georgetowns, and people are you don't see those. You don't see Georgetowns. You see all the hype pairs, you
Yeah.
see you see pandas on everyone, and it's like Georgetowns are out there, but I guess no one takes pictures of them. I don't know. But like I like them, right? Like it's my pair, and I wear those J-Pack ones, like the highs, like which is why I think I'm content with those two breads I have. Like I have guys still sending me like bread one's $500, and I'm not spending that. I said like I have the 1.5 and I have dunk. I have my bread colorway. I'm not having three of the same colorway right now. Maybe in the future, if an 85 bread releases, ooh, I have to have that. But like it'll sell it instantly or ridiculous. Like that's the pair I want. 85 bread
Yeah.
cut. That would be everyone would want a pair. I know that. But like that's what I'll wait till 2028 or whatever when they release. If
Yeah.
that's what they're releasing, I'm gonna get it because that's the cut everyone wants,
Yeah.
right? So
Yep.
like the natural gaze, great pair. It's just I wouldn't wear it. It's white. Like I don't wear genuinely white shoes. But yeah,
Yeah. Oh man. Um, I am like about to run out of battery power.
no worries, man.
I gotta jump, but I appreciate you jumping on and chopping it up with me. I
Catching
hopefully
up.
we can do it again.
Yeah.
We gotta get another group together, group session together. Um,
Yes.
maybe I gotta find some Adidas guys. Maybe you could hook me up and then we could talk about them.
So the biggest Adidas guy out this way is one of the guys that runs ZX Boys, that Instagram channel or Instagram page. That's Suji Cypher Sons.
Yeah, I follow him.
Yeah, he's awesome. Really cool guy. And then I don't know if you follow IBS Negative.
No.
He's okay. So he's out west. He is I don't know how to describe it. He just basically likes everything Adidas. Like he's actually he has like cyclist stuff. So he's got some cool like cyclist like Adidas runners. He's a big skateboarder, so he loves like Adidas skateboarding, which no one talks about. I don't want to butcher his name. It's like Malik Tenga. There's another guy like so they're all part of that like EQT, like ZX type thing, and like, they're really really cool guys. I like, and like you said, it's kind of like the hipster thing where it's like, you know, they're not into like the Nike Jordan, but they're into like these like Adidas that are like kind of like no one talks about, or like this, like it's like but again, like it's cool to see the passion behind why they like it, and they know the stories, and that's why I fell in love with ZX specifically, because I started to hear all the stories behind it and why people love them, and why like there's stories like behind them that no one really told. But yeah,
send me a list. We can maybe set something up. That'd be great.
Okay. That's good.
All right, man. Well, thanks a lot. Get some rest. I know you get like very few hours without the kiddos.
That's more my wife. I sleep like a rock. So unless my wife knocks me and says get up, which I do in the morning sometimes. But our little guy actually sleeps in his bed right now. So he got his bed last week, and he's been sleeping good.
Yeah.
So yeah, a little 2-year-old.
Lucky. Enjoy it. It.
My daughter doesn't. My daughter comes to bed at like 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Depends on the night.
Well, enjoy. We'll chat soon.
All right, sounds good, Dave. Good seeing you.
You too.
Bye.
Yeah.